Today's podcast is sponsored by Fire Facilities Incorporated, expert engineers, designers, and manufacturers of steel training towers, burn rooms, and mobile units that are all made in the USA. So I tell you what, for recording purposes, I'm going to give a little introduction about you because you probably don't know this about yourself, but your name is LJay Geist. Did you know that?
It is.
Yeah. You're a
all
firefighter?
Day, every day.
Has it been every day or do you have it changed?
Well, Leland J is my legal name, but I go by LJ, so.
That works. Firefighter with Garden City, Kansas Fire Department. Started as a volunteer in Oklahoma. Quickly knew you wanted to be a full-time firefighter. Now you're an instructor for the Recruit Academy at your department and a full-time student of the craft. You can find your, I don't know if you knew this, but you can find yourself speaking in Oklahoma and Nebraska over the next 4 months at different conferences. Brother Geist, welcome to the show. Welcome to the first Facebook Live show.
Thanks, man. It's good to be here.
So what started it all, oh, there's BJ Breacher. What's up, brother BJ? All right.
I can't wait to meet that dude.
He's awesome, dude. He is no joke. He's the real deal. Hold on here. Hey, BJ, do me a favor, brother. Since you're my first guest, you're getting a combo pack. What's a combo pack, you say? Well, it's something I just damn well invented. Here's what it is. BJ, you are going to get this book, if I can show it. This is going to be, this is from Jason Hovelman, No Exceptions Leadership. There it is. You're going to get that. You're going to get a coin, and you're going to get 2 helmet stickers, brother, for being number 1. There you go. So, there he goes. So, I tell you what, I'm going to let you do the honors there, Mr. LJ. Take a look at this. And what do you think IGAF stands for?
I give a...
Say it.
I can't, man. I promised people I'd be good today, but I give a fuck probably is what I'd imagine that is.
That is it. I give a fuck. I had these stickers made up because the people that push the fire department forward are the people that give a fuck and usually are the least popular of the people in the fire department, at least in my experience. What about you?
I would hands down agree with that. So I would refer to that as passion.
It is passion, right? I don't know too many dentists or doctors that probably have that kind of passion. We got a great job. I always say I feel bad for astronauts and fighter pilots because they don't get to be firefighters.
Nobody gets to unless you're there. And until you experience that and you get to be a part of the craft and the brotherhood and the family that we have in this American fire service, if you are outside of that circle, which so many people are, you will never understand what we have. Mm-hmm. And people don't understand us, unfortunately, which is, that's a catch-20. But a lot of people, they don't understand us and we don't understand them. But until you get to experience this, man, it's the best thing in the world.
It is. You could go to any firehouse in any country and anywhere as a firefighter, and the second you see that shirt, it's, hey brother, hey sister, what's up? And it's an instant connection.
It is 100%. And I love that, man. I love going and visiting other firehouses in other cities. And hell, I don't care if they're volunteer from the smallest department in their state or the biggest department in the world, man. Just visiting with people about the craft and just learning from other people. That's what it's all about for me. And I know it is for you guys too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about leadership. You and I talked on the phone today about some leadership stuff. And I was telling you, so at my department, we don't have a formalized leadership program. We go by basically Fire Officer 1, which is fairly useless in my book. To me, it's more of a check mark. Okay, I've got this certification. I don't feel like there is a ton of great information in there. So we have the privilege and the honor to make a training academy. And what we're doing, and this is still kind of up in the air, but it looks like it's going to be 3 levels. 3 levels, and 3 levels are going to be basically new recruits. You know, the second level is going to be sergeants and captains. It's going to be more of a management type thing, management academy. And then battalion chiefs and above are going to be leadership type academy. But the whole thing is based on leadership. So what we're doing is we're integrating human resources with firefighting. And the reason I'm excited about that, because there's some things that firefighters, I think some training we need. For example, being able to have those crucial conversations, emotional intelligence, knowing the psychology and science behind some of this stuff that we teach. It's not just pulling hoses and throwing ladders, although it's a blast. So if you have been hired by my department to give us some pointers like, hey, put this in your leadership academy, what are you going to suggest?
Man, that's a great question, Jake. So, you and I, what we talked about earlier, the number one thing that that I would suggest is this: if you have people that come on your department, and within 6 months to a year, or even that from that recruit phase to the probie phase, because that's how we do it in my department. You're a recruit for 6 months, and then you're a probie for 6 months, and then you're a firefighter.
I can't hear you very
years.
well, by the way. I apologize, but I can't hear you very well. You can't.
Is that better?
Oh, there it is. There
Okay.
it is. Thank you, brother.
So for 6 months you recruit, 6 months you're a probie, and then you got to be a firefighter for 3 years before you can promote, unless you come in as a lateral. You and I talked about this earlier. The one thing that we're failing in the American Fire Service is getting those 2 to 3 year guys or gals who, when they come on the job and they've been there for 2 or 3 years, and everyone in your department is saying, hey, this person has it. They get the job. They love the job. They're going outside training. They're doing all these things on their own outside of our department. They're studying when they're inside the department. These are the leaders we need. But what happens most of the time? We don't forget about these people, but we do. Upper management a lot of times in the American Fire Service does absolutely nothing to prepare these people for the next level. If there is one thing I can suggest, you would better latch on to those people as I don't even want to say upper management, as formal leaders. You had better latch on to those people, and you'd better figure out what they need to do to get these people ready for the next level. Because what happens is you've got these badass people who come on the job, they love it, they turn into senior firefighters, they promote through the ranks, and the first screw up they have on the fire ground, on an extrication, on a code blue, on a trench collapse, something inside the firehouse happens, and all of a sudden they just get absolutely screwed by HR and upper leadership. And then all of a sudden it's like, upper leadership, what have you done to prepare this person for the next level? Oh yeah, you've not done a damn thing. The American Fire Service has got to do a better job about preparing people for the next level. And it's not just, I'll throw this out, it's not just my department, it's every department. Are we doing what we can to bring in people from the outside? So let's talk about this. Are we bringing in people, lieutenants and captains from other departments who have had some failure? And failure, by the way, is a good thing. There is nothing wrong with failure. It is a very good thing. But we need to be bringing these people into our departments and training the people coming up behind us. We need to be bringing in captains, training lieutenants. We need to be bringing in battalion chiefs and training captains, and so on and so forth. That's how you have successful leadership. But it all starts at the informal level. If we are not giving ownership and giving leadership tasks at the informal level, not only are we screwing ourselves as a department, we are screwing the people that we serve, that we took an oath that we promised we would protect and serve at all costs. And when that doesn't happen, man, we screwed ourselves, and it's not a good thing.
All right. Well, so I'm going to pretend to be the chief of a fictional fire department, right? Kick-ass fire department. And we got cool t-shirts, I would imagine. So in Kick-ass fire department, you're meeting with me. You're designing the leadership program, okay? What are you going to tell the chief? What do I got to have? What are the components, the basic components that we need to work on? Because we just said that we're failing as American Fire Service for the most part on training our leaders. What are those components we need, brother?
Number one, you got to start out with a really strong mentorship program.
Nice. Nice.
So that's something that we have incorporated. I'm trying to say this. I want to be humble when I say this because I'm a humble man. My chief, who was my acting battalion chief when I got started, we got to talking one day, it's a year ago, this past October, about our academy. We completely redesigned our academy. With that came a mentorship program. We have got to have a mentorship program so when our recruits graduate our academy and they walk into the firehouse, they have somebody they can lean on. Because let's face it, man, I don't care if you walk into a firehouse that only has 3 guys on shift or women, or if you walk into a firehouse like mine, because we're growing so fast right now to where there's 10, 12, 13, 14 people going off shift and coming on, it's intimidating, right? That mentorship program, that is number one. Have somebody who will greet you at the door, have somebody who will show you the ropes of what it means to be a good recruit. But that mentorship program should never stop at the recruit level. There should be, as you and I discussed earlier, there should be people at every level that can be a mentor. Now, when you
Right.
get to that chief level, that's really tough. That's really tough. That is when you have to start going to outside sources to say, hey, man, going to chiefs conferences, going to battalion chief conferences, getting outside of your department, getting outside of your comfort zone and learning and getting those connections to say, hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing for my department. Calling that other chief that you became friends with at a conference and you connected with, or battalion chief, and saying, hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing. What are your thoughts on this? That mentorship program is one of the most important things that we need to be doing as the American Fire Service, because it does a couple things, Jake. Number one, it gives that recruit that's coming to the firehouse. I don't think peace of mind is a good thing to say, but it gives a peace of mind. And number two, it gives that mentorship some ownership, that mentor some ownership, and it gives them a stark reality of what it means to be a leader.
Yeah.
So right there, you're creating leadership and ownership in two different people without even knowing it.
Nice. You're baking it into the culture, basically.
100%. And here's the thing I'm going to tell you: that mentorship program, it's not for the lazy ass. It's not for the shit bags. It's not for the dudes that sit their asses in the recliner all day. That mentorship program, that had better be your badass people who have been there for 2 or 3 or 4 years that want the job, understand the craft, and want to make it better.
The one
Don't be getting
percenters. The one percenters.
100%, 100%.
Nice. I
That that
totally agree with
that
you.
that's what I would tell you. If your department's looking at leadership, that's where it needs to start. But you need to figure out how to have that mentor program at every single level.
All right, I'm taking a quick time out. We got 8 viewers. Okay, out of the 8 viewers that are watching us right now, the first one that post a picture of my hero, my mentor, Patty Brown, 3 truck from FDNY, the first picture of FDNY that shows up gets a free challenge coin. Let's see if we can get anybody up here. 3 truck from FDNY.
That's the truck that's in the museum.
Yes, it is. And I went there and it was heartbreaking. But Patty Brown has always stood out to me as this sounds silly, and I lack the vocabulary and the intelligence to try to say this. So I'm gonna try my best. So give me a little leeway here. But it blows my mind that somebody like Patty Brown does my job. Now, I'm not saying I do it like him. I'm not on his spectrum, but to me, it is absolutely mind-boggling that one of the greatest people you can imagine was a fireman. It blows my mind. It just blows my mind. I'm not seeing any bendy trucks up here. I'm not seeing 3 truck put on our comments. First one to do it gets a challenge coin. You don't think these people hate FDNY or Patty Brown, do you? Is that what you're getting, LJ? Is that you think what they're saying?
I don't know what's wrong with these people. They're slackers, man. It's Monday. Got the Monday blues. Bunch of pussies. Dude, I tell you what, man. That 9/11 museum. until you get to experience that and you go into that room where those people are calling their loved ones on the phones and you
Oh, I
sit in there
know.
and you listen to that, I don't care how tough you think you are, man. I cried. God, my eyes. Whew, I think I might have lost the contact when I was up there because I was crying so hard.
I
Good
tell you
stuff.
what, I'm gonna tell you a classy person. A classy guy is John Cirillo. He's a captain of Rescue One in FD and Wine. I get to teach with him from time to time. So when we were in New York City teaching, he took me, my wife, my good buddy Gilbert, and his wife, and Kevin Milan and his girlfriend. He took us there. And while we're there at the pools before we went in the museum, he's telling us the story. Now you can hear his story on my podcast last year, talking about 9/11. And we go down into the museum, and the whole time he told us the story about, I can't remember if it was the first or the second. I think it was the first building that came down. He remembers hiding behind a white van under like one of those connecting walkways in between buildings. Right. He remembers when it came down, he ran behind this white van to stop, from all the debris hitting him. So we're going down into this museum, and like you said, you see pictures and movies and TV cut. Everything's there. And sure enough, he pulls me aside. He goes, "Hey Barnes, come here, look." And it was an NBC News that kept playing on a loop from 9/11, and it was the white van he was behind. He goes, "There it is. That's the white van." And then we went in, and underneath exactly where the towers were, and there were all these pictures of people that lost their lives, and there's a bunch of firefighters. So he was telling me stuff about these firefighters, telling all of us. He was like, "Oh, this person, he lived with this girl. They weren't married, and the mother didn't like her, or whatever it was, and they had a dog." It was all this detail, and it was just, I thought, this has got to be the high point of my career, to have somebody of his caliber in class take all of us through there and gave his personal story on all of 9/11. It was amazing. He's such an awesome dude.
So when I was up there, I went up to New York City and did the stair climb. 2018, I believe, did the New York City stair climb, and I met a man named Timothy Duffy. If you ever seen the guy on the motorcycle,
No.
Timothy Duffy, uh, I met him walking from the hotel over to the tower we climbed. And when I met him, you ever met those one of those people that you think, man, I got to get to know this guy. I I Facebook stalked him the day after
Nice.
and sent him a message, and I wanted to go to lunch with him. Well, he was coming into the city the next day, and I got to sit down and have lunch with Timothy, and I got to hear his personal story about 9/11. He rode his motorcycle to his firehouse and got his gear, and rode his motorcycle to the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I just sit there and I cried because his story was just so impactful. So hey, has anybody done anything?
So they can't post pictures. So
Okay,
here's what we're going to change things up a little bit. The first one to name, speaking of Patty Brown, there was a famous rope rescue in Manhattan. Patty Brown was the officer. And at the end of the rope saving somebody, the first person to post that name gets the coin. The first
that's a
person
good
to,
one. Good
yeah,
idea.
yeah. Let's see.
I
Let's see
like it.
here. Have you ever met that particular person we're talking about?
I have not.
Every time I go to FDIC, they say he just walks around just normal as can be, and I'm like, how could you not, like, oh, that's him, that's the guy. Let's see here. So
Get
okay,
that
guys, we're
autograph.
looking for the guy at the end of the rope for a famous rope rescue that was filmed. There it is, George Robertson Jr. Kevin Shea, brother. Email me at 3-point firefighter. 3-point firefighter at gmail.com. Send me your address, and I will put this in the mail tomorrow. And also, my brother BJ got the full package with the book, the stickers, and the coin.
So George Robertson Jr. got the
Yep.
coin.
Yes, he
That's
did.
another good. That's another good dude. I can't wait to meet too. Man,
Uh,
that's the cool thing about Facebook and the fire service. You get to be friends with so many people. You're like, man, I hope I get to meet you sometime.
oh, and you know what? I'll tell you something funny. I've always been worried about meeting people that I meet through my podcast or Facebook or whatever. Some people I've become really, I feel like, pretty good friends. Mark Alone from the Fire Inside, me and him, we stay in touch pretty regular. Matter of fact, every time I go to an airport, I don't care what time of the morning it is, I've got a habit now. I've got to text him, and he always responds. So he knows that's part of my ritual now. And I don't know how that got started, but every time I go traveling, boop, boop, guess where I'm at? Where are you going, Buck? Joshua Chase, which, by the way, this leads perfectly into you. Josh Chase has written several books. I love them, fantastic books. A lot of them about informal leadership.
Yep.
He's real big on that. Me and him stay in touch quite a bit.
Another dude I can't wait to meet, just talk leadership with him.
Yeah. But you see these guys and you meet them, and they don't let you down. They don't let you down at all. You know, they're just as cool in person. Having met Corley Moore in person, that guy, I worship that guy's like just about everything. I mean, his podcast, his lectures. I just got his book, The 9 L's, and I've been reading it, and it is phenomenal.
You're not going to be disappointed, dude. Corley, him and I, we talk quite a bit. He's he's actually one of the guys that he doesn't know this, but he's actually one of the guys that's kind of got me into lectures and going to fire conferences. So I've got to give a lot of credit to Corley and Justin Lorenzen and the Mid-America Fools dudes down in Oklahoma City for getting me going on leadership topics. So,
well, let's go back to informal leadership. We talked about Brother Josh Chase, who has a fantastic view on it. I know you do too. How important is informal leadership if we're talking about making future leaders?
If you look at informal leadership, not just in the fire service, across the entire spectrum of our country and even the world, informal leaders are the people who are putting in the work. Every single day, we are the ones, because I'm an informal leader at my house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an officer. I'm a fire too, which means I'm a driver. And I get to sit back seat quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Been acting up quite a bit lately. Informal leadership is where it happens. We're the men and women who are doing the work, putting in the work every single day. If you find those people who have it at the informal level, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have it at the formal level too. Why? Because they give a shit. They care about themselves to be better. They're not afraid to fail. They love the people they serve with. And more importantly, they understand that what they do is way bigger than themselves. They've got a humble spirit, a warrior spirit, and they give a shit about them. That informal leadership, without the informal leadership of the American Fire Service, this service would not be what it is. Don't get me wrong. There are some badass company officers, battalion chiefs, deputy chiefs, whatever you want to say. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of those people in our craft that make the world go around. But at the informal level, that's the people that matter. Mm-hmm. Because they're the people in the future that, let me say this, informal leaders, a lot of times, because they haven't got caught up in the bullshit and the politics of the American Fire Service and their organization, they haven't got caught up with that crap. They care so much about it that they can greatly impact the future of their organization. Why? Because they don't get caught up in the bullshit and the politics. Right. They show up every day. Here's a quote that I like about informal leadership, and it's something that I started saying here about a year and a half ago. When I walk into my firehouse every morning, I'm not walking into just a job. I'm walking in there because I'm ready to show up to run calls and to make a difference. That is my job. My job is to show up every damn day to run calls and make a difference as an informal leader. And if you can have that humble attitude, that humble spirit about your job as an informal leader, man, it's yours. What do you want to do with your career? At that informal leadership, if we have that kind of attitude and that kind of love for this craft and with the people we serve and the people we serve, man, I'm telling you, there's going to be some amazing things that's going to happen. That informal leadership is where the fire service is made because we are putting in the work.
Absolutely. I think behind any good officer is that good informal leader. And if an officer doesn't feel like he has one, then he might need to rethink his leadership style. I always think about the movie. Tell me if you've seen this movie, We Were Soldiers.
It's been quite some time.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you about it. You'll probably come back to you. So you had Mel Gibson playing a colonel, and name escapes me, but wherever he went, he took his sergeant with him, okay, played by Sam Elliott. And Sam Elliott was an NCO. He wasn't an officer, but he ran the show. He made sure everybody below him that he was training knew their job and knew it well. And then Colonel Howe basically trusted him to do that. So any success that Mel Gibson's character had was directly tied to, the NCO, the informal leader. So I always think about that. When I think of a good informal leader, I think about that guy that doesn't have the rank, but he has just as much passion, maybe twice as much knowledge, and is able to get the job done. They're not an officer for whatever reason. We got to have people that aren't officers. I mean, not everybody that's great needs to be an officer, in my opinion.
100%.
Aaron Fields. If they make him better than Aaron Fields, I don't know if I could tolerate it. But he rides backwards, and that's what he wants to do. Jay Bonifield, Same thing. Oh, there he goes. I just got it. They said the name was Colonel Hal Moore and Sergeant Major Plumley. Way to go, George Robertson, on that one. See, we're learning.
He's on the spot right now, huh?
He is. We got 10 viewers right now. Hey, listen, for my viewers, do me a favor. Go ahead and just type out where you're from. Let us know where you're watching this from. The one that's furthest away is going to get a pair of helmet stickers. Doing a little extra giveaways today just because it's our first one. Got a 3-point firefighter sticker, and then my brother LJ is going to tell you what hashtag IGAF means. What is it, brother?
I don't give a fuck.
I give a fuck.
Oh, I give a fuck. I'm sorry. Yes.
I give a fuck. Hey, we got Dave Mellon on here, another Kansas boy.
He is. He's a long ways away from me.
Yeah.
Him and I just talked on the phone earlier.
Oh, did you? He's awesome.
Good dude.
We got Heath Sideway from Biloxi, Mississippi.
That's a long ways. That might be the winner.
That might be the winner. We got to get some more in here. We got Kalamazoo. We got Mike Muleman. I hope I got that right. Comstock Fire Department, Kalamazoo, Michigan. Jason Mock. I know Jason. Clark County, Indiana. Sorry, Jason, you're not winning this one. You're about 10 miles from me. If that, brother. If that. Olympia, Washington. Matt Conklin. I was just there in Olympia teaching a couple weeks ago. Love the state of Washington. Don't want to move there. You got a little too much snow and rain for me, but man, I love that place. Okay, so one of the things I want to talk to you about is you're one of the few people that put on paper and back up the statement you need to get training outside of your fire department. I know a lot of people think it. I've heard a lot of people say it, but you actually put pen to paper and said, hey, outside training matters. Why is that?
Man, this topic alone, Jake, is something that we could talk about for 3 hours. If you want, I'm just going to give it to you. I'm a straight shooter, and I'm an honest guy, so I'm going to give it to you, and then we can break off into rabbit holes after this. But
fair enough.
If you want the culture in your department to change, and you want to improve individually and as a company, which then leads to your department to be better and to do better for the people that you took an oath to serve, you've got to go to outside training. Because I don't give a shit how good you think your department is. I don't care how fast you can stretch a line and get masked up. I don't care how fast you can get a ladder to the second story on a walkout basement to a window. There is somebody out there better than you that's instructing that you need to go learn from. Yep. It's called humility, right?
Yep.
You've got to get to outside training to become a better firefighter for the people that you swore to protect. There's the down and dirty answer to it. You've got to become better. You can't get better sitting your ass at your own firehouse for 20 or 25, 30 years and not doing a gosh damn thing to become better if you don't go to outside training.
Mellon says amen, but I also think that he is trying to get more people to come to his classes. So I kind of think he's kind of cheating us a little bit, don't you think? He's like, oh.
Who said that, Mellon?
Mellon.
Oh, that guy. Just because we're going to a badass burn tower, Nebraska this weekend. No, but here's another thing. Besides what I just said, and I feel that I'm a better person and a better firefighter because of the outside training that I've attended. Mm-hmm. Not only for hands-on stuff, but for my passion. But here's another reason that I'm better. When you go to outside training, and we just talked about this in the question you asked a few minutes ago about leadership programs. Mm-hmm. You build relationships with outside people. There's a couple people that I'm going to mention. David Millen's become one of them, and my buddy Justin Lorenzen, who's a lieutenant chief driver down in Oklahoma City out of Seven House, and a few other people around the OKC metro area. The relationships that I've built with these men has been some of the most influential relationships I've ever built in my life, because these guys are square with me. I can call them, and if there's something going on at my firehouse and in my department that I don't agree with, they're going to set me straight. If there's something going on in my personal life, they're going to be honest with me. Here's a prime example. Second weekend in December, I had firefighters from 3 different states come up to my annual pheasant hunt in western Kansas.
Wow.
You know where that all started, dude?
Huh.
It started at outside training. It's people that I've built relationships with over the past 3, 4, 5 years that came to western Kansas and had a blast of a weekend hunting pheasants together and drinking beer, and the camaraderie. We had police officers, we had volunteer departments, big city departments. But the relationships that you get to build with people outside of your department, and when you're feeling down and you feel that your passion is sliding a little bit, those are the people that you need to contact and just talk with and allow them. You've got to open yourself. This is going to sound funny because we're 2 dudes with a bunch of guys on here probably. Man, you got to open yourself up and just let those people love on you, man. Be like, hey, you remember when we first met and we're down in Oklahoma City throwing ladders and stretching hose? That's the LJ that I want to see back. That's the LJ, or that's the person that your city deserves serving. Man, outside training. And not only that, dude, you get to have fun with a bunch of brothers and sisters just
Yep.
doing some down and dirty work. You're not sitting in the firehouse on a cold ass day, man. You're out just doing whatever hands-on classes you're doing. Get out there and go have some fun and go learn something. If you fail, who gives a shit? Go try again. That's why you train.
Mm-hmm.
You training is meant to get you to fail, so when your time comes on the fire ground, you don't fail.
Right.
That's what it's all about. Get out of your comfort zone and go meet some people and go be a badass for a weekend and have some fun. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's so freaking important for our careers. And here's what I told my lieutenant. I had a pretty big heart to heart here about a month ago. And here's what I told him: firefighters need to attend outside training at least twice a year. And here's
Mm-hmm.
why I say twice a year. And there's no science or there's no psychology behind this, but we need to attend these outside trainings twice a year, because a lot of times is what happens is you go to an outside training for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, whatever it is. You get back to your firehouse and you're on cloud 9, right? Like you're
Yeah.
pumped up to show these people, because that's what
Yep.
happens, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing for our minds, and it's a good thing for our heart.
Mm-hmm.
Within about 6 months, that stuff starts to fade away. And it can be sooner than that if you have something going on in your personal life, or there's things going on, you don't get a promotion, or something happens at the firehouse, or you have some bad calls, maybe a kid or two dies. That starts to waver away. But the next thing you know, 6 months later, there's another training you're going to, and bam, you're right back on cloud 9 and you're wanting
Yeah.
to become better. Those outside trainings and what it does for your career is so important, because it opens you up to so many different ways of things being done. Whether it's a simple hose load, a search technique, a ladder throw, an extrication of maybe popping a door, some of the simplest things make us better, because these outside trainings, they make seconds count. And this is one job, probably the only job in the entire world to where seconds count, because in our line of work, seconds save lives. So
Amen.
that's what I'm going to tell you about outside training.
It's the best. And I tell you what, I'm going to tell you why I didn't do as much as I should have a few years back. Okay. And then I'm going to tell you why I think it's so important. If I had to be honest, the reason I fell off the outside training, the reason I didn't go to outside training, because I was afraid to look stupid in front of people I didn't know. And
Yep.
that was a me thing. I got over that. Um, I don't know if I necessarily got over it, but I embraced it because the ego is the worst thing you can have in the fire service, in my opinion. I wish there was a button that when you walked in the firehouse for your shift, you pushed your thumb against it and your ego just left and you focused on the citizens. Doesn't matter what you do, those citizens will always come first. And that is part one with LJay Geist. That guy got me so excited, so motivated. If you're not excited and motivated about the job, then maybe go back and listen to it again because that guy is amazing. So, part two is next Monday. Please have a great, safe weekend, brothers and sisters.
Today's podcast was sponsored by Fire Facilities, designers and manufacturers of realistic, built-to-last training structures and mobile units for 30 years. Make training count. Visit firefacilities.com for more information.